Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all, and today we are going to be playing Windwitch Speedroids. It's a fun deck. I had a lot of fun playing it on stream. It's exactly what I wanted from Speedroids when they first came out, and though we don't have high Speedroid Cork Shooter yet, this is a very good balance, I'd say, for Duel Links. You do have quite a few powerful negates that you can summon on turn 1, and you are able to interact with your opponent's board very frequently with not a lot of resources. So let's take a look at the skill and see what we can do with it. The skill is called Winter Bell Excel. It has 4 effects. You can only use this skill's second, third, and fourth effects once per duel. You cannot normal summon or special summon, excluding special summons from the extra deck, any monsters except Windwitch monsters and Wind Tuner monsters. Also, your opponent takes no effect damage from your card effects, except for the effects of Windwitch cards. It's an interesting idea. So you can't play cards like Ring of Destruction, and you also can't play non-tuner monster Wind monsters, which means that the only Speedroid card we can summon is Speedroid Card Turbo. And that's completely fine. Shuffle 1 Windwitch Snowbell or 1 Windwitch Chimes from your hand into your deck, then add 1 Windwitch monster from your deck to your hand. So right now I only have 1 copy of Windwitch Icebell. I have dug through the box so much, still don't have my second copy yet. I do think that you will need 3 copies of Windwitch Icebell for the final deck, but I'm showing you what the deck can do with just 1 run through the box so far, and hopefully that gets you guys interested. If you control a Windwitch Synchro monster, play 1 Windwitch Snowbell from your deck to your field. And then lastly, shuffle 1 tuner from your graveyard into the deck to add 1 Windwitch tuner from your deck to your hand. All very good effects. Alright, let's take a look at the deck. We are playing 1 copy of Windwitch Icebell. Windwitch Icebell, if you control no monsters, you can special this card from your hand, then you can special summon 1 Windwitch monster from your deck, but it cannot be tributed. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect except level 5 or higher wind monsters. If this card is normal or special summon, you can inflict 250 damage to your opponent, and you can only use each effect of Windwitch Icebell once per turn. So, Icebell's effect locks you into only Synchro and Fusion monsters. You cannot Link Summon or Xyz Summon while you are playing Windwitch, which is completely fine. Windwitch is an excellent deck. Icebell is a very, very powerful card. Since the effect activates entirely from the hand, that means your opponent can't effect failure or impermanent. Now, when Windwitch Icebell is special summoned, you will special summon Windwitch Glassbell from your deck. Glassbell has an effect. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Windwitch monster from your deck to your hand except Windwitch Glassbell. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except Wind monsters. You can only use this effect once per turn. Now, when you summon Glassbell with Icebell, you can choose the card order as long as you have the manual selection. So you should choose to use Glassbell as a Chainlink 1 and Icebell as a Chainlink 2. We don't currently have cards like Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs or Psy-Frame Gear Gamma in the game yet, but in any instance where we get a hand trap that triggers, we want to make sure that we are chain blocking correctly. See, the 2 monsters' effects activate at the same time, and you as the turn player get to decide which effect activates in which order before your opponent can respond. So you will choose to use Glassbell first and Icebell second. That way, if your opponent tries to counter a card, they have to counter Icebell. Excellent. Okay, Windwitch Freezebell. Level 3 spellcaster monster. If all monsters you control are Windwitch monsters is a minimum 1, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn during your main phase, you can increase this card's level by 1, and a Wind Synchro monster that was summoned using this card as Synchro material cannot be destroyed by battle. Cool, that's a useful effect. So, Freezebell is the card you will often draw off of Glassbell, so Icebell, special summon Glassbell from the deck, Glassbell, draw, Freezebell, Freezebell, special summon herself. You already have 3 monsters on the board, and you still haven't normal summoned yet. Speedroid Card Turbo. This is a level 3 Wind Machine Tuner monster. If you control a Wind monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot activate effects for monsters for the rest of the turn except Wind monsters. That's completely fine. We don't run any non-Wind monsters. You can banish this card and 1 Speedroid monster from your graveyard. All Wind monsters you currently control gain 800 attack until the end of the turn. You can only use this if you have the bike in your graveyard. The bike or another card turbo. So, cool. All right, Windwitch Snowbell. If you control 2 or more wind monsters and no non-wind monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. A wind synchro monster that was summoned using this card's synchro material cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So the first effect is not once per turn. You can summon as many Snowbells from your hand as you want throughout the turn. It's a level 1 tuner, which is really nice. You can use it to turn Winter Bell into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon or Diamond Bell. Very good. It has a lingering effect that prevents your monster from being destroyed by your opponent's card effects. This is important for playing through negates. Once you have synchro summon a monster under Snowbell, you will intentionally use it to bait negates, because at least when your card gets negated, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's negate. That is extremely beneficial for actually playing through a powerful negate, like, for example, Clearwig Synchro Dragon. All right. Snowbell is at 3 because it can be used to draw Ice Bell. Windwitch Blizzard Bell, level 5 tuner monster. If you control no monsters or all monsters you control are Windwitch monsters, you can normal summon this card without tributing. During your opponent's main phase, if you control a Windwitch monster other than Blizzard Bell, as a quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to inflict 250 damage to your opponent, and you can only use this effect once per turn. Blizzard Bell is extremely good. It allows you to synchro summon into Diamond Bell with only Blizzard Bell and Freeze Bell, and it also, since you can add a tuner monster from your deck to your hand at the end of your turn, you can have Blizzard Bell in your hand to trigger Diamond Bell's effect during your opponent's turn. So this is a great card. Since we can search it, it's going to be a very powerful tool in our arsenal. We are playing 3 copies of Windwitch Chimes. You will almost never actually activate Windwitch Chimes, because if you have Windwitch Chimes in your hand, you're probably going to shuffle it back for Ice Bell. But target one Windwitch monster you control, special summon a Windwitch monster with a different name from your deck in defense position. You can only activate 1 Windwitch Chimes per turn, and you cannot special summon in the turn you activate this card except wind monsters. So Windwitch Chimes is a turn lock, as opposed to the other cards that all say for the rest of the turn. If you activate Windwitch Chimes, you cannot have special summon anything other than wind monsters before you played it as well, which is completely fine. Speedroids are all wind, and so are Windwitch monsters. Next up, we have 2 copies of Forbidden Lance. Target 1 face-up monster on the field until the end of the turn. That target loses 800 attack, but is unaffected by the effects of other spell and trap cards. Primarily, the way that people will try and stop you from activating negates at the start of their turn is either Dark Hole or Book of Eclipse. And Forbidden Lance allows you to at least keep something. Speaking of Book of Eclipse, change all face-up monsters on the field to face-down defense position. During the end phase of this turn, flip as many monsters face-up as possible as your opponent controls, and your opponent draws that many cards. This is a fine card. It's debatable about whether you would want to play this at 1 or 3. I haven't had any problems playing it at 1. It's completely good. And lastly, we're playing 2 copies of Necrofusion. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your graveyard face down, but it cannot attack this turn. Okay? So the reason we play Necrofusion is specifically so that we can activate Quintet Magician after our turn, because we're wind locked on our turn. So you will only fusion summon during your opponent's turn, hence we need a trap card for it. Extra deck. We are playing Quintet Magician. Quintet Magician is a level 12 Dark Spellcaster monster that requires 5 Spellcaster monsters to fusion summon. Must be fusion summoned. If this card is fusion summoned using 5 Spellcaster monsters with different names, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. Excellent. That doesn't miss timing because it's an if effect. Destroying all cards your opponent controls during their turn, obviously extremely good. So Necrofusion is just a good card because you will always have 5 differently named Spellcaster monsters in your graveyard with your regular combo. This face-up card on the field cannot be tributed nor used as fusion material. Also, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So since Quintet Magician cannot be tributed or used as fusion material, it's a very good counter to Predaplants. You cannot tribute it for the Drosophilum Hydra, and you cannot fuse it off with a card like Clematis Sundew or Super Polymerization. So if you're wondering how you can beat Predaplants with this deck, it's Quintet Magician. Now, that said, we don't have a way to beat Lyrilusk. I'm sorry. Next up, we have High Speedroid Clearwing Rider. This is a level 11 Wind Synchro monster. It requires a Wind Tuner plus 1 non-tuner Wind Synchro monster. So you will make this using your Speedroid Car Turbo and your Windwitch Diamond Bell. Once per turn during your main phase, you can roll a 6-sided die and shuffle wind monsters from your graveyard into your deck up to the result. Then you can destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number shuffled, and if you do, this card gains 500 attack points for each card destroyed. So that's a lot. Let me explain. Roll a 6-sided die. Let's say you roll 6. You could choose up to 6 cards from your graveyard to return to your deck. If you choose less than 6, then you can only destroy as many cards as you chose to return. Then you can destroy cards up to the number of cards you rolled. So for example, if you roll a 6, you shuffle 6 cards back. Your opponent only controls 4 cards. You can destroy 4 cards. Then you gain attack points until the end of the turn, 500 times the number of cards destroyed. So if your opponent only has 1 card to destroy, even if you rolled a 6, you only gain 500 attack points. I don't understand. The way that Clearwing Rider is worded, it's a condition to a condition to a condition, so it's really hard for a lot of people to actually visualize what it turns into, but it is, you have to roll a certain amount, then you have to return a certain number of cards, then you have to destroy a certain number of cards, and then you gain attack points. Okay. Alright, next up. During your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, you contribute the Synchro Summon card, special summon up to 2 level 7 Wind Synchro monsters with different names from each other from your extra deck. So you will special summon your Clearwing Synchro Dragon and your Clearwing Fast Dragon. Fantastic. So, High Speedroid Clearwing Rider, star of the deck. This card will get you 3 negates on your opponent's turn, and you can make Crystal Wing as well for 4 negates, and it's just really simple and streamlined. Windwitch Diamond Bell, level 8 Wind Synchro monster. 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner wind monsters. If this card is Synchro Summon, you can target 1 Windwitch monster in your graveyard and inflict damage to your opponent equal to a quarter of its attack points. You can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn, if your opponent takes battle damage or effect damage, you can target 1 card on the field and destroy it. If you control this card that was Synchro Summoned using only Windwitch monsters as material, you can use this effect up to twice per turn. So, this is very important. People already do not read. They never read. I'm sorry, they just don't read. This is the most your opponent doesn't read deck ever, because you have 2 lingering effects, Freeze Bell and Snow Bell. So your opponent's not going to realize that your Synchro monsters can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects. They will just forget that. But Diamond Bell is another your opponent does not read, because as soon as they see that once per turn, they're like, okay, it's once per turn. They don't read at the end where it says, oh, this can be twice per turn. And then you hit them with the second burn and bam! They have no idea what just happened. So Diamond Bell is a great card. Popping 2 cards on your opponent's field is really good. And because we can do it during your opponent's turn with Diamond Bell, with a Blizzard Bell, we're going to do that. Just a very solid option. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, I'm not going to bother explaining what this card does. You can watch the replays. Cyber Slash Harpy Lady, level 8 Wind Synchro monster. If this card is on the field and your opponent activates a spell or trap, or you activate a spell or trap, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and bounce it. Good. Clearwing Fast Dragon, its pendulum effect is irrelevant. Level 7, 2,500 attack points, 2,000 defense points, requires a tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner wind monsters. During either player's turn, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls that was special summoned from the extra deck. Until the end of this turn, changes its attack points to 0. Also, that face-up monster has its effects negated. So, since this effect can be change attack points, it can be used during the damage step, which is very, very good. Obviously, you can activate this effect in response to your opponent activating a monster effect, and that will have its effect negated, but then it will also have all of its other effects negated. Really, really good card. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place it in your pendulum zone, which doesn't help you at all. Next up, we are playing 2 copies of Windwitch Winter Bell, because there's nothing better to play here. Yeah. 1 tuner, 1 or more non-tuner wind monsters. You can target 1 Windwitch monster in your graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that target's level times 100. During either player's battle phase, you can target 1 Windwitch monster you control, special summon 1 monster from your hand with a level less than or equal to that monster, but it cannot attack this turn, and you can only use each effect once per turn. So Winter Bell is primarily used to activate the skill so you can play Snow Bell from the deck and climb with it. Good card. Then lastly, we have Clearwing Synchro Dragon, level 7 Wind Dragon monster. 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners once per turn during either player's turn. When another level 5 or higher monster on the field activates this effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the monster. And once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect that targets exactly 1 level 5 or higher monster on the field, no other cards, you can negate the effect and destroy it. Actually, that's either player. So yeah, just a good card. It has 2 negates. It's probably it's not as good as Crystal Wing, but it's got some very powerful effects. Also, Anytime this card destroys a monster, it gains attack points equal to the destroyed monster's original attack points till the end of the turn. So if it has 2 monster effect negates, then it can absorb 2 different monsters' attack points. Really good. Okay, so with that all in mind, let's take a look at the replay. We are going first against Ancient Warriors. So our hand contains our full combo. It contains a card that can get us Ice Spells, that's Snow Bell, Wind Chimes, or Ice Bell, and it contains Card Turbo. Great, let's pop off. We'll activate our skill, we'll get Ice Spell. Activate Ice Spell's effect, special summon it from the hand, special summon Glass Bell from the deck. Glass Bell, Chainlink 1, Ice Spell, Chainlink 2. Burn the opponent for 250, grab Freeze Bell, special summon Freeze Bell. Synchro the Ice Bell and Glass Bell into Windwitch, Winter Bell in the extra monster zone. Winter Bell effect, burn for 400. Skill, play the Snow Bell, skill 2. Draw the Blizzard Bell, normal summon it without tributing before we Synchro summon. Then we go into the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon in the extra monster zone. Now we can Synchro the Blizzard Bell and the Freeze Bell into the Windwitch Diamond Bell. Diamond Bell's effect, we're going to burn the opponent for another 600, so they're down to 2750. Special summon the Card Turbo from the hand and Synchro into the High Speedroid Clearwing Rider. Pass. So our opponent's turn, they're going to activate Galaxy Cyclone, and we will chain to that by tributing our High Speedroid Clearwing Rider so we can summon our 2 monster negates. Opponent's going to activate 3 visits, and then normal summon the Zhuge Kong. That lets them draw Guan Yun. Then they special summon Rebellious Lu Feng, and we will then they try and activate the effect of Guan Yun to special summon itself. We will activate Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon's effect to negate that effect. Crystal Wing can negate cards in the hand. Opponent's going to chain Rebellious Lu Feng to destroy the monster with the highest attack points on the field. Since they activated a monster effect that was on the field at level 5 or higher, we can activate Clear Wing's effect to negate and destroy that. And then we just kill him. There you go. So we had 2 monster negates that easily stopped our opponent. We had another negate to prevent our opponent from targeting one of our monsters, and we had an extra deck monster negate that also reduced the monster's attack points. We had Book of Eclipse because we had extra cards in our hand because the combo is only 2 cards. A very powerful overall Dame strategy. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.